Hello there! If you're joining us from last episode, welcome back. If not, I recommend you watch the last video before this one, otherwise, this one won't make a lick of sense. Anyway, if you'll recall from last episode, Ulamog has been freed from his trap, and Kozilek has been risen from the earth by the demon planeswalker reborn, Ob-Nixilis. Gideon, Jace, Chandra, Nissa, Kiora, and all the Zendikari are still trying to defeat Ulamog, but now have Kozilek to worry about as well. To start things off with a bang, Kiora headstrongly decided that she could easily take on Kozilek while the rest dealt with Ulamog. Using the power of the Bident of Thassa, a magical artifact she'd stolen from a god on the plane of Theros, Kiora beckoned all the nearby creatures of the deep to attack Kozilek, including a massive octopus named Lorthos. Kozilek was unfazed, swatting away various sea creatures and slicing Lorthos clean in half. Kiora was defeated, with her Bident being tossed down to the depths, and it was clear to all that this Titan was even stronger than Ulamog. Delaying his long overdue departure a little more, Ob-Nixilis decided to turn his attention to Gideon, Jace, and Nissa. He spent his sweet time torturing the three. To quote Ob-Nixilis himself,
"Would you like to hear something amusing? If you would simply let me finish my work, I would have regained my spark and left your world. I didn't choose you as an enemy, but now I feel obliged to be the enemy you deserve. Kozilek's distortion will allow you to experience the last hours of Zendikar drawn out over the space of 1,000 years, suffering as I did. Normally I don't care for these kinds of theatrics, but you've earned yourself an exception. You fight for Zendikar? For this broken dung heap of a world? We'll see how it rewards you. This is Zendikar, the suffering and the waste and the filth. This is Zendikar. This is Zendikar, and your fight is over."
It was then that Chandra showed up to help, late as ever. She managed to free her fellow planeswalkers and launch a counterattack on Nixilis. He, even though he still had them all near death, then decided to take his leave, vowing to destroy them all in true Saturday morning cartoon villain fashion. Now free from Ob-Nixilis' prison, the planeswalkers saw the devastation. Gideon's entire army had been decimated, and the Titans were nowhere to be seen, save for the ruined landscapes they left behind. Realizing that the four could not survive alone and needed each other's help, they decided to take an oath. To watch over Seagate, to watch over those in need, to watch over the safety of every plane, and to stop all interplanar threats. And thus, the Gatewatch was born. Loved by some followers of magic lore and hated by others, and affectionately or not so affectionately referred to as the Jasis League, like it or not, these four planeswalkers are going to be the focus of many stories to come. As I mentioned in the first video on Zendikar, and as Ugin had explained to Jace at their meeting at the Eye, the Eldrazi Titans were only small parts of the true being or beings that exist in the Blind Eternities. If you remember the metaphor, the Eldrazi are essentially like a man sticking his hand in a pond, the pond being the plane. Jace determined that killing the Titans would be like cutting off that man's hand. The only way to truly kill them would be to pull them into the pond by the hand and eliminate them once they were fully inside. Although the members of the Gatewatch couldn't make any new Hedrons to direct the mana ley lines of Zendikar like the original stone Hedrons did, Nissa was able to direct the ley lines due to her innate connection with the plane of Zendikar. While the others lured the Titans to her position, Nissa began to channel the mana of Zendikar through a massive rune she'd carved in the ground. The rune acted as an anchor, and as the Titans passed over it, the ley lines Nissa had manipulated tightened around them, locking them into place and pulling their true forms in from the Blind Eternities. Nissa was exhausted from her effort and was not able to go about destroying them on her own. So now these Lovecraftian beings were inside the plane of Zendikar, and their very presence threatened to tear the plane asunder. To quote the story Zendikar's Last Stand, the sky of Zendikar had become the Titans. Their forms had enveloped everything, a dome of bruise-colored flesh and bone sheets and void-edged shards. Rather than the Titans being pulled into Zendikar, it felt as if Zendikar were now inside the Titans, or that, somehow, dimensionality had been inverted, and now the outside of their enormous bodies was in every direction Chandra could see. So yeah, pretty bad. Kiora wasn't too happy about the prospect of her entire plane being ripped to shreds, so when Nissa refused to release the Eldrazi, and when Jace refused to let Chandra burn them with her pyromancy, scared that any damage to the rune would free them, Kiora beckoned the entire ocean to come crashing down on Nissa and her room, hoping that would free the Eldrazi. Jace managed to part the wave with his magic and allowed Chandra to burn the Eldrazi, but it was clear that she only had one shot. Using Nissa to power Chandra's magic with the mana of Zendikar itself, they used the classic Magic the Gathering combo of Channel and Fireball, obliterating the two titans for good. And thus, it was over. The dust settled and the survivors gathered. Zendikar, the entire plane, would need to be rebuilt. But that menace that had plagued it for millennia was finally gone. Ugin was understandably upset at the Gatewatch, as he believed the Eldrazi played a greater role in the multiverse, but the deed had already been done. Cryptically warning that other ancient planeswalkers might not be as forgiving of Jace and the rest, Ugin left. And while Nissa began the arduous task of restoring the wilds of Zendikar, Jace decided it was best to seek out another ancient planeswalker to find out where the third titan is, and how to kill it. It was time to go to Innistrad in search of Sorin Markov. Thank you so much for watching this video. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, etc. and keep an eye out for next time, where we're going to be covering the plane of Innistrad, the gothic horror themed plane. Ooh, spooky. See you then.